Good morning, everyone. Oh, Dave, you must be feeling better. Good morning, Mayor. Oh, okay. I am pleased to be here this morning with Ms. Shannon Williams, the Executive Director of the Harrisburg Authority, General Lynch, and also Public Works, our Engineering Department, and certainly the Harrisburg Authority Board members. The City of Harrisburg and the Harrisburg Authority have reached term agreements to transition and consolidate water and sewer operations that will serve the city and the surrounding municipalities with water, wastewater, and stormwater services. This transaction is a part of the fiscal recovery of the City of Harrisburg. It will demonstrate once again the authority's creditworthiness and set in motion a major step for the authority and city to regain access to the capital markets. This will permit future funding for major long-awaited infrastructure improvements in the city. As you are aware, the lending markets have already begun with the recent awarding of the city. It's $900,000 PennVest dollars for road repaving and other infrastructure repairs. This transaction also has allowed and positioned the Harrisburg Authority to meet with market lenders to position themselves to begin to borrow money. This new transition will add to reducing the city's structural deficit and improve environmental and ecological partnerships and relationships with our neighboring communities. It will open up an exciting opportunity for green infrastructure projects and will further add to conservation and cost savings. As a result of this agreement, the city and authority will be better able to work with the United States Department of Justice and the Environmental Protection Agency to assure regional compliance with the Clean Water Act and Chesapeake Bay initiatives. The city's Bureau of Water and Sewer will transition into the Harrisburg Authority with its Water and Sewer Authority, along with the associated city infrastructure to collect and deliver those services. The final contract is under development right now, and we anticipate an official transition date of October 1st of 2013. As called for in the terms of agreement, the city will provide certain services to the authority. We will maintain our responsibility of street maintenance operations that are essential to the operation of the sewer system. The city will invoice the authority for those costs of services and also other administrative functions until later on in June 2014. Additionally, a Green Infrastructure Development Fund will be established, as I noted, to help fund city infrastructure improvement projects that improve water quality and enhance our community. This is significant. It's a significant accomplishment and one of the main goals of my administration. It marks an end to the incinerator debt era for the city and enables the Water and Sewer Authority to return to fiscal normalcy and move away from any negative image of the past. This transaction clearly separates the city from the authority and is part of the overall fiscal recovery plan. It also ends the practice of city taxpayers being co-signers of all the Harrisburg Authority's debt and sets the stage of Harrisburg Authority to stand on their own. This action removes the city's liability for antiquated infrastructure and will allow the authority to raise necessary funding for capital expenditures. I want to thank Ms. Shannon Williams, the Executive Director of the Harrisburg Authority, for her support and hard work and dedication to this transaction. I want to thank the Office of the Receiver, General Lynch, as well, and his consultation through the negotiation of this transaction. I want to thank the current Board of Directors of the Harrisburg Authority for their cooperation. And I also want to thank the neighboring communities also throughout the months as we researched and began to negotiate necessarily to bring us to this point in history today. This marks another opportunity to highlight our path to being the first city in the Commonwealth to work our way throughout receivership and the Act 47 process. We are on our way to demonstrate that it is indeed it's possible to negotiate a resolution of fiscal recovery without seeking the murky, uncertainty path of municipal bankruptcy. I would like to say that this is gratifying to see the hard work of my administration come to fruition today, as it will again in the coming months. And now I'll ask Shannon Williams to come and give comments.
Thank you, Mayor Thompson. On behalf of the Harrisburg Authority's Board of Directors and staff, We're delighted that we have reached an agreement in principle with the city administration and that legislation is now before City Council authorizing the consolidation of Harrisburg's water, wastewater, and stormwater systems at the Harrisburg Authority. We look forward to sharing our vision for operations and investment in the critical water infrastructure as we get closer to the time when the authority actually takes over operations of the water systems in early October. This transition of operations simply would not, and in fact cannot, be possible without the commitment and progressive thinking of the employees and staff and consultants working diligently on this initiative for the city, for the authority, and for the Office of the Receiver. The mayor's dedication to the city's future, the board of directors' community-focused commitment to the water systems, and the receiver's ability to drive consensus have brought us to a point where we can put the past behind us and invest in a water system that is truly an asset to the Capital Region. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everyone for being here today. Mayor Thompson, Executive Director Williams, thank you. This is a big deal. This is a big deal for a lot of reasons that the Mayor and Executive Director Williams have covered far better than I can or could. I want to call your attention to what I think is even more important than the benefits of enhanced water and sewage pardon me, the way we deal with those things in the future. The benefits will inure to all the residents of the city and to those in the neighboring communities that utilize those services as well. This is a big deal because it demonstrates that we have the ability to work in a collegial fashion to craft a solution that not too long ago might not have been possible. So my hat's off to the Mayor and Executive Director Williams for their leadership, and also the board of the Harrisburg Authority. I see Bill Cluck and others here today, and City Council has an important role to play in this as well. So all of you, in my opinion, have done a great job with this. We need to finish it off, and the immediate benefit will be the eligibility that the city and the authority now have for some $26 million of Penvest financing to do mandated corrections to the sewage treatment facility. Without that, and without the recent interest we've seen in private investment, we would have been subject to fines levied by the EPA and the Department of Justice and all those people from Washington that are here to help us, as we know. So this is a very big deal. Congratulations, Mayor. Congratulations, Executive Director Williams, members of the board of the Harrisburg Authority that are here, and City Council as well. Thank you all.
We'll do our ritual and open it up for questions from the media.
I have one for Ms. Williams. Can you talk a little bit about the progress of enacting the water and sewer systems?
Sure. We have updates on our website that's available at any time. We are about 3/4 of the way through the city on the identification of where the lines are. Then we go back and get the survey of those. The next steps will be taking a look at the condition of the sewer systems. We're fortunate in that we've developed a relationship with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers under their Section 22 grant program. We have the possibility of having 50% funding through their technical assistance program to help us with that endeavor.
Logistically, what will this change for the city residents? I mean, I guess where will the bills come from? Will the rates change? Anything like that?
As you heard in my remarks, that not only will we maintain maintenance of the street sweeping and cleaning, which are one and the same, but we also we understand that this is a very huge transaction and a transition. And while we recognize there's going to be some bumps, and because the Harrisburg Authority is going to be almost like a mini city, if you will, because the personnel will eventually shift, but they don't have the infrastructure to shift that personnel. So they'll remain here in our infrastructure. We will manage that staff, and the Harrisburg Authority will compensate the city for the services we provide. So we'll still do the billing until they get their applications up and running. until they get their system fully in place to be able to take over the capacity and govern it and run it like a full-size water and sewer authority. We are very, very intently looking at every single line item that comes along with managing the system from every usage. So if there's going to be a percentage of salaries that the Harrisburg Authority will have to pay for doing the billing, the Harrisburg Authority will pay the city for that. They will pay the city for occupancy. Anything that Harrisburg Authority is using inside this government to run their administration function of this system, they will reimburse the city on a monthly basis. So it's got union contracts involved, and you got union staff members, and so there's a matter of the unions. Whoever wants to retire, and then ultimately the Harrisburg Authority will rehire them. So this is a long transition, and it has to be done with precision. And that's what the intent meetings have been all about. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Yes.
Will there be any effect on rates?
I'm sorry, Emily.
Will there be any effect on rates?
Any effects on rates? The Harrisburg Authority will once again be independent. As an elected official, I won't have to worry about that. But of course, as you heard General Lynch said, this city was embarking on millions of dollars of fines from EPA. And this has been no stranger to Harrisburg. All across the world, mayors have been fighting EPA and DEP on their gross unfairness of making mandates but not giving funding. And so the Harrisburg Authority, certainly in their upgrades of infrastructure and all of the improvements they're going to bring to hopefully a 21st century system, someone's going to eventually have to pay for it. And there, from what I understand in all of our discussions, there won't be an immediate rate increase. Whether it's going to be 2 years from now or 3 years from now, that's going to be a decision of the administration who are operating the authority.
And I'm not sure that maybe if Shannon wants to explain what the intent of the authority's intent is as far as will it be graduated? Because we understand what you're saying about this being a great expense to upgrade it and take care of all the environmental regulations or comply with them rather. So can you speak at all to what you anticipate or what the plan is for rolling that in?
The transition itself will not result in any type of rate adjustments. Last night at the board's meeting, they engaged a consultant to do a rate study that's associated with the wholesale wastewater customers, that being the suburban customers, to get them to a point where they're comfortable with what the rates are so that we can be assured of the revenues coming in 2014. As we begin to gather more information about the operations of the sewer and water systems, about the capital repairs that are needed, the renewal and replacement that's needed, we will then reinvestigate the rates for the city sewer customers and also for the water customers. So at this point in time, I don't have an answer about how the rates are going to be structured. We're going to be doing a very detailed analysis to determine what the best way to do that is that will meet our revenue requirements but provide minimal impact to the customers.
Mayor, can you talk about what the city is the city losing out on anything as far as handing over those sewer pipes? That is an asset to the city. By doing that, are we missing out on any funds, money?
Let's just say this. There is no definitive report that shows the gross liability of the sewer system, other than when EPA went around the world and start challenging cities and mayors about their combined water and waste system, they indicated that the systems were not upgraded, and that sometimes when you have an antiquated system, your sewer and waste merges and it could contaminate your water. And so they put these huge mandates on cities to separate them and upgrade them. So to say that the sewer system is a loss to the city right now, the cost that goes into upgrading that system is monumental. And the city's financial situation right now, we don't have the wherewithal to borrow the money to upgrade that sewer system. But again, it did not negate the fact from me staying at the table and battling to make sure the Harrisburg Authority understood that you're not going to get this system for free. Whether we had a study or not to prove whether it was antiquated, whether it was a huge liability, a minimum liability, or low liability, we just weren't going to get it for free. So we had to work through those discussions to make sure that the transition was fair, and that we were also fair to the Harrisburg Authority in them taking on the liability of the sewer system. And as we all know, we have said many a times, even when I sat on council, that the entire system is antiquated, and that there were estimates of 100 million plus. And I've said over and over again that mayors across the country that I've been dealing with are upgrading their systems to the billions of dollars. Land in particular is a $2 billion upgrade. And I don't think ours is going to be $2 billion, but they got a lot of money to invest in this system. And there's many different ways to invest in the system to save the taxpayers money and to prevent from these escalating high water bill fees that will come along with leaving a system antiquated. So at this time, I will say that we all share the same customers, we all share the same purse stream, and it's best to try to keep these upgrades in a gradual stage to control the escalating expense to come along with upgrading them, and then passing the buck back down to the taxpayers.
The separation between the authority and the city.
Hopefully you got your answer out of that long answer.
Does this mean the city will not work with the authority anymore, partner with the authority? And
We will always have that intermunicipal agreement. We will be a customer, so that relationship is still there. The Harrisburg Authority, as you know, the city of Harrisburg, under the mayor's leadership, appoints to the board. And we haven't disbanded that particular authority at this time. Whether it would transition to another way in the future, I don't know, but right now it remains the same. So we will still have an important role here in this major infrastructure. And we all have to come and go, and that is to make sure that we provide a quality system to our customers.
I understand that part of the purpose here is to make sure that the authority is now a true operating authority and not a vehicle for novel financing. That said, I guess my question would be, a lot of what you mentioned are grants to fund things. Do you anticipate future bond issuances as well? And if so, will the city guarantee them?
I don't think there's any government entity out there that's going to provide a novelty bank account for authority.
I just think bond issuances to
I
fund
understand what you're
projects.
saying, but I'm addressing the issue of grants. And so in other words, the answer is certainly there will be some bond borrowing in there. As I noted to you in my remarks, that this gives an opportunity for the Harrisburg Authority to become independent and to be able to go out into the markets and borrow money on their own. And certainly grants will never suffice in upgrading this system to a 21st century system, so there's going to have to be some opportunities to get into the bond market. And as you have heard here this morning, that both the city and the authority have already been able to crouch upon the opportunity to get back into the market of borrowing. Penvest gave us $900,000 and gave the Harrisburg Authority a couple of $1 million to begin their upgrades of the Chesapeake Bay violations, and so, or the cleanup project. So the borrowing has already started in the market. And so this transition, this independence, again, as I said, will allow them to stand on their own and no longer use the city's good faith credit to back their bonds. And
So there won't be city guarantees?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I said over and over again in my remarks, this is liberation here. This is independence. This is allowing the authority to go out and operate on their own. It's building their credit base and freeing the city from any more co-signing.
I'm not sure who could answer this one, but the suburban customers who said they were overbilled and are supposed to get the $11 million in the plan, have they agreed to that, or what exactly is the status of that arrangement?
Well, I'm going to defer to General Lynch, and the reason why is because we're going to have some private conversations about the real nitty-gritty of that. Again, as you know, there has been no true investigation of really how much we owe or how much we don't owe. It was kind of like a gentleman and ladies agreement. For the bigger calls, there was a settlement, we still have some working out of that settlement. But General Lynch can speak to that because he put it in the plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, the mayor said that very well. The plan captures the settlement agreement we have with the suburban communities. They had a much larger figure that they believed they were due. We negotiated that with them. They realize, of course, that they are part and parcel of this whole regional fix, if you will, and they are part and parcel of the Harrisburg Authority in that they are customers of the system. So, the agreement will be Pretty much, well, it will be what you see in the plan, assuming it's approved by the judge, and there will be future details to be worked out.
Can you elaborate on how much financial stress?
I thought as my days go down, you'd have less questions for me.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you.
Can you elaborate more on how much financial stress this takes off the budget during this transfer?
When I stand here and reiterate over and over again like a broken record that this will be an added value to solving the city's structural deficit, that's just how significant this is. You know, as I said to you, you know, much of the city's financial woes is because it entwined itself with the propped up the propped up authorities. From the Redevelopment Authority to the Harrisburg Parking Authority to the Harrisburg Authority, and we became all of their co-signers on huge amounts of debt, millions of dollars of debt, and on a limited population and a limited socioeconomic structure that would sustain our borrowing, and allowing these entities to operate independently on their own financially to get their own borrowing and not have the taxpayers' good faith credit backing them. So if they decided to collapse, taxpayers aren't on the hook as they have been in this case with the incinerator and with the water and sewer system. And so now these entities have to stand on their own, do their own borrowing, and manage themselves in a very equitable and a very honorable way so that they don't get back into a situation independent of the city and then knock on the city's doors later and say, hey, you know, we failed at this and we need to borrow some more money to fix it and we need your co-signing. My legacy is that it's not happening. You know, the days end with the city being the co-signer of all of its entities. And that way it will allow the taxpayers to be free from these types of convoluted deals that really break the backs of the taxpayers. As you know, taxpayers gave up a lot in this deal, even though we always say it's been shared pain. But still, you know, the cry in the wilderness is that we didn't cause it. But, you know, we gave our good faith credit. And so we had to bite the bullet with all of this. And, you know, we're here today for the greater good of all. And it will take the deficit off of our backs. And so going forward, having balanced budgets and have revenue sufficient enough to carry us through to 2016 until the new administration gets up and running and can think about all kinds of ways to add to the revenue generation to sustain this city and its local economy. Yes.
I just want to clarify something. So the transfer is effective October 1st.
I'm sorry, Emily. You're such a soft speaker.
Sorry. The transfer is effective October 1st, but as far as the authority taking over all of sort of the responsibilities associated with that and also completing its own transfer to an operating authority, when is that expected to happen?
Well, I mean, we gave you an October 1st timeline.
Right, it's supposed to be everything will be transferred over at that time.
Well, we're hoping that all the contracts will be signed, all the money will be shifted over to them. They will be making the payroll. We will be, like I said, getting reimbursed for things that we will continue to do to prevent the system from collapsing in a new transition. So October 1st will be the actual official agreement, will be signed, and the liability and everything will now be on the shoulders of the Harrisburg Authority. Shannon, you want to add to that? If you want to.
I think that's pretty much it. The transition is going to be effective on October 1. That means that the authority will be holding the revenues in our own accounts, which is what's important to the municipal markets. We will have the payroll of the current city employees on our payroll. There are certain services that you won't notice a difference in the short term, and that is the billing and collections will continue to come through the Harrisburg City Operations Revenue and Treasury departments. That over time will transition. We need the time to get the systems in place to test them, to get everything input. So likely that would be sometime in the middle of next year that the full transition, the full break would happen.
And I may already know this and I'm forgetting, when does the authority expect to have its transition to an operating authority complete?
We expect to have that on the same time frame. There will be legislation in front of the Harrisburg Authority at their meetings in September. The authority under its Articles of Incorporation currently is an operating authority, so there's no additional paperwork that's necessary from an Articles of Incorporation standpoint. So as far as the question, when will the authority become an operating authority, we already really are an operating authority.
And just to clarify another point, you won't be acting as a financing vehicle for other public entities, is that correct? Anyone?
It's not the intention of the board at this point in time to be looking at those. We're focused on the water and sewer and stormwater systems right now.
When do you think the upgrades will start? The upgrades to the wastewater treatment?
The wastewater treatment facility, we're in the bidding process right now. We will accept bids on October 18th. The bids are available through our website and through PennBid. After that time, we will have the dollar amounts to go into the bond markets and secure the additional funding. We anticipate that we will be issuing notice of intent to award in November with notice to proceed in January of 2014. And then it's a 24-month construction schedule, which would have us complete in January of 2016.
Any other questions?
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.